Mitchell has an answer.
And that's what you do.
18 points in this first quarter. Stops, goes right back to work.
Isolation basketball. A dying art, they said, but this season, it came back with a vengeance. No screens, no movement, just one man, one ball, and a defender left stranded in front of 20,000 witnesses. And in those moments, something special happened. Across arenas, across matchups, and across generations, the best players in the league put the game on their shoulders and reminded the world what happens when there's nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. Jason Tatum's ISO against Milwaukee in March became a turning point. Boston had lost back-to-back games, and the critics were circling. Tatum, guarded by Giannis, called off the screen and stared him down. The jab step froze him. The sidestep three tore the net. It wasn't just the bucket. It was the look on Tatum's face after. No scream, no flex, just calm. Boston's message was clear. Their star wasn't backing down from anyone. But the MVP race was shaped by isolation too. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander made it personal every time he touched the ball late in games. There's something deceptive in his slowness. Defenders bite early, and he punishes late. Against the Clippers, he sized up Kawhi Leonard, used a jab and inside-out dribble to create space, then floated in a high-arching game winner. The camera caught Shai looking at the OKC bench, nodding. They trusted him with the last shot. He didn't need a screen, just time. Kyrie Irving made isolation poetry. In a showdown with the Suns, 5 straight trips ended with him dancing at the top of the arc. Durant's arms weren't long enough. Booker's feet weren't quick enough. The last dagger, a leaning three over double pressure, made Luka raise both hands from the bench. It wasn't showboating. It was mastery. The kind of ISO control that reminded everyone what made Kyrie a champion in the first place. Anthony Edwards didn't dance, he attacked. When Minnesota squared off against Denver in late January, it wasn't just a game. It was a test of legitimacy. When Edwards got the switch on Jokic, he didn't hesitate. 2 quick dribbles, a crossover, and a burst to the rim. The dunk? Nuclear. Jokic didn't contest. He couldn't. It was a highlight that looped on every screen in the country for a week. But what made it legendary was Edwards' post-game words. "I don't run from the matchup." That's isolation spirit. No hiding, no help. But not all isolation greatness came from superstars. Tyrese Maxey, in the absence of Harden, had to grow fast, and he did. Against Miami, with Embiid out, the Sixers needed a miracle. Maxey got the switch, stared down Jimmy Butler, and hit a hesitation crossover into a step-back triple. Bucket. Then, the next possession, same thing, but this time drove by Jimmy for a crafty finish. That night, Maxey wasn't the second option. He was the closer. Devin Booker gave us a vintage performance against Golden State. Midway through the fourth, the Suns went flat. Booker took control. 5 straight ISO possessions ended in buckets. A pump fake, a pull-up, a pivot step jumper, and a cold fadeaway from the baseline. Klay Thompson, guarding him, looked helpless. Booker didn't taunt. He turned and jogged back on defense like it was just another Tuesday. Julius Randle had a stretch in February where the Knicks relied on him entirely in the clutch. The standout moment? Against Miami, tied game, 18 seconds left. Randle dribbled at the top, Butler in his face. No screen, just strength. He backed him down, pump faked, spun the other way, and nailed a 1-foot fade over 2 defenders. It wasn't pretty, but it was pure will. But the deepest bag might belong to Brandon Ingram. Against Houston, he cooked 7 straight ISO possessions. No 2 plays looked the same. One-legged turnaround, Euro step, spin fade, elbow jumper. Watching Ingram is like watching a craftsman. No extra movement, no wasted energy, just precision. LaMelo Ball, known for flair, had his ISO moment too. Against the Bulls, clock ticking down, LaMelo pulled Zach LaVine to the top of the arc, dribbled behind his back 4 times, for no reason except rhythm, then fired a moonshot from 30 feet. Swish. It wasn't just deep, it was defiant. And in that moment, Charlotte's rebuild looked like it had a heartbeat again. Scoot Henderson didn't wait for permission. In only his 40th game, with Portland struggling to find rhythm, Scoot demanded the ball late against Boston. He got the switch onto Derek White, danced with a flurry of dribbles, then exploded into a spinning finish off the glass. His bench exploded, not just because he scored, but because he called his shot. Isolation isn't just about skill, it's about ownership, and Scoot owned that moment. And then there was the return of Ja Morant. Everyone knew he'd want to make a statement, but nobody expected what he did to Austin Reeves. With the crowd roaring, Reeves crouched low, locked in. Ja sized him up. One inside-out dribble, a fake spin, then a lightning burst past the right. 2 steps later, Ja cocked it back and detonated at the rim. The crowd didn't cheer, they screamed. It was violence. It was redemption. It was Ja being Ja again. Even LeBron got in on the action, but not like before. His ISO now is more methodical. Against Cleveland, he got Evan Mobley at the top, slowed it down, surveyed, then drove left, shoulder down. One dribble, step through, finish with the right. And just like that, year 22 looked like year 10. It wasn't flash, it was control. The Kings still knew how to win the battle one-on-one. Kevin Durant, though aging, still had his isolation masterpiece. Against the Knicks, Durant went into full Slim Reaper mode. Shot clock down, guarded by OG Anunoby. He rose from 28 feet and dropped in a rainbow 3. No one else touched the ball. That's the trust KD still demands, and the damage he can still deliver. And Luka Doncic? His isolation isn't explosive. It's psychological warfare. Against Miami, he baited Bam into switching, slowed the pace to a crawl, then launched a one-legged, leaning 3 off the glass. He smirked before it dropped. Luka doesn't just shoot, he humiliates. This season proved something loud and clear. Isolation basketball isn't dead. It just evolved. It's smarter, sharper, more efficient. It's no longer about volume. It's about timing, the right moment, the right defender, and the perfect response. The league's best showed us that when it's time to win, sometimes the best play is no play at all. Just clear out and let the game's coldest killers go to work. And yet, what makes these isolation plays so electrifying isn't just the scoring. It's the isolation itself. A single player, stripped of screens or systems, exposed in the spotlight, with the weight of the moment pressing down. No tricks, no gimmicks. Just raw skill, confidence, and swagger. Whether it's a game-winning jumper or a soul-snatching crossover that sends defenders sliding, ISO plays strip basketball down to its most primal form. One-on-one, best versus best. Each of these moments rewrites the highlight reel. They're reminders that while basketball is a team sport, there's always room for solo brilliance. From Ant's jaw-dropping footwork to Ja's gravity-defying athleticism, every ISO play this season told a story of ambition, of rivalry, of dominance. And if you thought this season's ISO moments were wild, just wait for what's next. Because in Isaac Wea, we're not just watching basketball. We're breaking down the battles that define it. Subscribe to Isaac Wea for more electrifying breakdowns, game-changing analysis, and the moments that make the game unforgettable.